Thanks for watching the FTC Top 25. As we get ready for our championship previews and prediction show, here's a word from our sponsors. AndyMark has parts and products designed specifically for First Robotics competition and First Tech Challenge teams. Many AndyMark staff are First alumni, mentors, and event volunteers. Visit andymark.com for all your educational robotics needs.
All right, everyone. Welcome to Fun FTC Recap. Matches start in Houston in just 2 days, and we're going to break down all 4 divisions. The way our pre-champ show will work is that for each division, Franklin, Jemison, Edison, and Ochoa, we're going to talk about 6 teams, 2 locks, 2 contenders, and 2 dark horses. The locks are teams that we think are basically guaranteed to make deep runs into divisions and eliminations. The contenders are teams that are fairly strong, and with some cards falling the right way for them, they could do extremely well. Our dark horses are teams that we're not really sure about. Perhaps we've seen a little here and there in the community, but no one really knows how well they'll do in matches. And before we get into our first division, the Franklin Division, let's have everyone quickly reintroduce themselves. As always, I'm Abbas, our lead FTC fun host. Caden.
Hello, I'm Caden. I'm from 14725, Java the Huts.
Declan.
I'm Declan. I'm from 22161 MTech Dark Matter.
And Jessica.
Hello, I'm Jessica from Team 8565 TechicBots.
All right, let's kick things off with the Franklin Division. I think we can easily see how competitive Worlds is going to be this year with just one division. There are just so many top teams in the Franklin Division that picking my top 6 is going to be so tough. So lock number 1, in my opinion, has to go to Team 12993 RoboKings for me. Although we haven't seen them officially compete with their new bot, seeing as they had more time to work on this robot than they did on the last one, which was already so good, I feel very confident about the robot doing well at Worlds. We saw their reveal on Friday night, and I said, I think it'll be one of the most versatile bots in Franklin. I'm willing to double down on that. They are the only robot I've seen this year with an active intake and an extendo intake, just giving them so much freedom in how they play the game. What do you guys think about RoboKings?
It's just crazy that they have that active intake and extendo. Like those were the main 2 designs that we saw this season. In terms of like having consistency in auto and then being like the best in teleop. And the fact that they're able to combine both of those is just, I mean, it's crazy to see that they do that. And yeah, we'll see how like consistent it is during Worlds. But I have high hopes for them.
Yeah, me too. And so, the first team we talked about, RoboKings, they went in with the new robot into Worlds. Now, my second team, I'm going to stick a little bit more with the stats and the numbers. My second lock is Team 9889 Cruise Control from Flanders, New Jersey. And although they aren't the flashiest robot on the field or anything, the reason I have them in as a lock is they set a top 10 score every single elimination match they played with their alliance partner, 7149 The Enforcers. That type of consistency in an elimination scenario means you know how to perform come game time. They're super fluid and just zip around the field. I can't wait to see their consistency in 11 qualification matches. We talked about them on our T25, and they just do not stop moving. Declan, Jessica, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I would agree with having the ability to intake or deposit on the front or the back of the robot really allows them to have a lot of freedom moving around on the field where they just have ease of access to basically everything around them at any moment, which really it lets them get ahead with those top 10 scores for every finals match like you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I think my favorite memory of Cruise Control was when they first set the world record, like back in early December. And I remembered that they were going so fast in the match that they had to stop and write a cone, right towards the end of the match in order to set that world record. And that was just like so cool to see from them at the time. But yeah, all right, on to contender number 1. As my first contender, I have another international team, Team 19044 Peppers from Romania. One of my biggest reasons that they were a contender is that they do remind me a lot of Cruise Control in that they have the speed on the field and some similarities in their design. And just having seen them empty the field in under like 90 to 100 seconds in teleop is just absolutely nuts. Like they are so fast. And the only thing stopping them from being a lock in my eyes is the past competition performance. Like RoboKings Alpha and Cruise Control, they had like super good past competition performance. But Peppers, I think, had really decent, really strong actually, but they're going to do really well at Worlds. And I have complete faith that they'll be making a super deep run into divisions. Jessica, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think their robot was very, very impressive this year, especially about how well they did during the driver controlled teleop period. And yeah, I think during the finals and semifinals especially, they will be a force to be reckoned with, and I think it'll be very, very fun to see how they perform.
Yeah. So my second contender is a team that I think isn't really discussed enough. Team 8680 Kraken Pinion. Two things really stand out about them for me. First, their auto. They just have such an incredibly consistent auto that stays away from any interactions with the other alliance. I think at Wisconsin State's, they had 34 out of 36 cones placed in their qualification matches on that far high junction nearest the substation. And that is just such a huge advantage in qualifications. Now, the second thing that really stands out to me about them is the fact that they're a veteran team. They know exactly what's required to do well at Worlds. They have the experience with making sure things like the robot is super consistent and it can stand the test of 11 matches or a lot of matches. And I think this is a factor that's kind of underrated, but is really going to give them a big advantage. Yeah. So my first dark horse team, I think, is the perfect dark horse. Like as soon as I knew I'd be doing Franklin Division, I knew they would be the pick. Team 8393, the Giant Diencephalic Brainstorm Robotics team, was a complete surprise to basically everyone when the teams list was published for Worlds. And with them spending some time on FRC and not knowing if they'd advance for FTC, I think no one can really say where they're at, as far as the robot goes. All we do know, though, is that the robot that competed at Chesapeake and Pennsylvania States was blazingly fast, and Brainstem is just one of those teams that always seems to do well. As I was saying about Kraken, like they have that veteran experience. Brainstem does that same thing. They know how to play the game each year, and they're just so effective at it. What do you guys think?
It's interesting seeing like how competitive I think it was I guess like their state champs they competed in. As of last week, we didn't even know that they were going to go to Worlds, and then they got that extra slot. So it's very interesting, and seeing that they're going to be one of the top teams in the division is super cool.
Yeah, for sure. So the last team I want to talk about in the Franklin division is Team 16379, the Kookie Bots. I know the community loves them, as do I, but the reason I have them as a dark horse instead of a lock is that with building a new robot, there are just always some small uncertainties before you run it through the gauntlet of a states competition or Worlds. And just based on the reveal and practice videos, I'm really, really excited to see how they do at Worlds. But with it being the team's first time in Houston, I'm sure there'll be some surprises here and there. Hopefully, all good though. Overall, I think they're a solid dark horse. Their track record isn't as consistent as our locks, but they have the potential to smash any of the records that are set currently, some of which they hold themselves. So, what do you guys think?
I would agree. Like your first time at Worlds, there's definitely a lot of things that you're not used to because a 4 to 5 day event definitely runs very different from your standard state championship. So kind of the learning curve that is entailed with that makes it harder to focus on like performing well with your robot. But I have confidence in Kookie Bots that they'll be able to overcome those difficulties and just absolutely destroy in competition.
Yeah, for sure. Overall, Franklin Division looks super strong, and I'm really excited to get into the rest of the three. And as we said, we have a ton of giveaways going on tonight. So Tyler, why don't we start our Andy Mark giveaway?
Yeah, first giveaway is going to be from our friends at All right, chat. We'll edit that in. Type in cone. That's your keyword to follow for this giveaway on here. And thanks a lot to Andy Mark for the awesome giveaway.
Yeah. All right, Jessica, why don't you start us off with the Jemison Division?
Of course. So I feel like if you have one of last year's World Championships in division, they have to be a lock. So my first lock is going to be Team 11260 Upper Creek Robotics from Longmont, Colorado. And we already talked about them on our top 25, and they're just such a versatile robot with that really impressive turret arm design, and being one of those teams that can do a 1+5 autonomous on the high junction near the substation means that they will be even more likely to guarantee themselves autonomous points. And that'll definitely result in a super high tiebreaker 1 point.
Yeah, no, Upper Creek is definitely crazy. Seeing them compete in Colorado was truly a treat. I can't wait to see what they bring to Worlds. I'm sure they've just been working on their consistency, making sure everything's just dialed in, and I can't wait to see. Caden, what do you think? I know you've played with them in the past, so you must have a lot to say.
Yeah, I think their experience from last year and previous years, I think it's really just going to come into play this year, and they're going to have a huge advantage over teams because just like seeing how the call matches will play out and how elimination picks go. Um, yeah, I think they just have a lot of experience and they're definitely going to use that to their advantage.
Yeah, no, another thing with Upper Creek, they're just so fast, and I'm really excited to see how that cone uprighter turns out for them coming into Worlds. Definitely they've definitely spent a ton of time on that design. It's very unique compared to what other teams do, and hopefully we get to see it in some qualification matches. Just driving around the field, riding cones as quickly as they can. Uh, I think it's going to be really fantastic. So.
Yeah,
Yeah. All
definitely.
right, Jessica, why don't we go on to your second lock?
Of course. So my second lock is just one of the few teams with a 1+10 autonomous. And from Romania, we have team 17962, Road 2D2. And they've also been featured on our show in the past couple of days. And all of us already talked about their game strategy on the top 25 for tonight. But another thing that really makes this team special is the fact they have pre-extended so much in teleop, and they're basically able to sit on the other alliances half the field and reach the cones that are in their substation, which gives them so much more power in the aim game and also allows them to easily cover opponent junctions right at the end of the match, which is super impressive and definitely one of the more unique designs we've seen this season.
Yeah, no, I think that pre-extension is going to be super powerful for them. They can just sit, like as you said, Jessica, if they're playing red, they can sit on the blue alliance's half of the field and just score on any of the junctions that they want, faster than pretty much any other robot on the field. And I think that's going to be huge for them in those really tight matches. Declan, what do you think?
On top of that, their 1+10 being as consistent as it is, I believe that they will actually try to run it if it deems as a higher score in autonomous than if they had their alliance partner run, because the way that they path their robot, it does leave a small amount of space for their alliance partner to park in that first square of whatever zone that they need to. So if with the proper communication and like autonomous prep for those matches, I feel like they would actually be able to run their 1+10 and make sure that they are securing those max autonomous points for their tiebreaker.
All right, Jessica, let's go on to our first contender.
Yeah, definitely. So my first contender is a team that we haven't seen much about this year so far, but it's Team 6165 MSET Cuttlefish from California. And they were the final alliance in their division at NorCal Regionals and also the Inspire second winner, advancing to the World Championships. And what makes this team so strong is that they have a ton of experience going deep into Worlds, and they have performed extremely well this past season and years prior, and their robot is looking super strong that they brought from NorCal Regionals, and I'm definitely interested to see if they've made any changes and redesigns in the past few months since then.
Yeah, no, there's not too much footage of MSET online, but we were able to get their MTI submission right here. Definitely looked to be a very strong robot as always, and that white aesthetic is definitely very nice. I think we saw a couple other robots. Ice definitely comes to mind, but they always put together such clean robots. Caden, Declan, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I love that active intake that they have in the robot. It's definitely like it will give an advantage during teleop, just being able to drive into the substation as fast as possible, intaking a cone, and then depositing it on junction.
Yeah, for sure. Declan, anything to add?
I mean, I feel like Hayden summed it up perfectly. It's with the design that they've had and they stuck with. The time between the last time we saw them live and Worlds, they really were able to refine it and make sure that all their mechanisms are working as intended. So I'm excited to see how they'll compete in their division with a fully optimized robot.
Yeah, 100%. Jessica, let's go on.
Of course. So now that we're going to the dark horse territory, my very first Dark Horse is a team that you might recognize from their Lambo robot reveal. Team 14361 CPHS Robolobos Green. This team has performed very well throughout the season, and the robot is definitely a force to reckon with. They have a very versatile claw design that can easily intake fallen cones, which is something that I think will be super useful, especially during the semifinals and finals matches, since every cone is very valuable to the end point score.
Yeah, no, Robolobo's Green, definitely super, super cool robot. I think they're another one of those teams that just have like so many small features that just add up to a really nice product, and robot overall. I'm really, really excited to see how they do. I think just with the right match schedule, a couple things falling in favor for them, it could really work out super well. Caden, what do you think?
Yeah, it's just a very clean and small robot. I love the counter spinning modules that they had. I know I talked about that on reveal night. Just how like unique that is, and it's just something new we've seen in FTC. Um, very cool and clean robot. Love the color aesthetic.
Yeah. And Jessica, as much as it's exciting talking about the dark horses, I think we should loop back around and talk about your second contender. So why don't you go ahead and bring that up?
Of course. So my second contender is a team from Mexico, Team 12887 Default Phobos, and they are one of the few very high-ranking teams that have stuck with a Vex-style intake this season, but it's clearly been working out for them. This bot is super robust, and I think this reliability will lead to a lot of wins during the qualification matches, and though they haven't made too many changes for Worlds, just smoother sides and minor upgrades, so it'll be very exciting to see something similar, but smoother performance overall for them.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that Phobos was able to hold their own against the top of the top, Sushi Squad, Kooky Bots, just a lot of really strong teams from New Mexico and Mexico championships. So I can't wait to see what they do. I'm sure they'll do really, really well at Worlds. Yep. All right, on to our second dark horse for this division. Go ahead, Jessica.
Of course. So my second dark horse is a team with a very impressive double reverse four-bore and turret claw outtake. It's team 9415 wrench dressing, and they're definitely one of my favorite robots from the Jemison Division. Their robot is very adaptable, and I definitely think that this team will be a very strong contender during a line selection. And I can't wait to see how qualification matches go for them at Worlds. It's a very fast-moving robot, and I think it'll be really impressive to see.
Yeah, I know I've mentioned a couple times like, oh, I think this team will do really well for control or design or innovate. But Wrench Dressing, just giving a cursory glance of their robot and reveal, I think they're another team that we can realistically see winning one of those hardware awards. I mean, it's just really impressive how they've combined the carbon fiber, 3D printing, metal, like all these different materials in the right locations to make a very effective double reverse 4-bar design. So I'm really excited to see how that turns out. Yeah, and let's go on to draw for our Andy Mark giveaway. Tyler.
All right, yeah, once again, cone was the keyword for that. We're going to draw in just a moment for that. So make sure you type in cone to get that in for the awesome sushi roller set and also a red and blue cone as well. And before we draw for the giveaway, let's take a brief moment to hear a little bit more from Andy Mark, and we'll draw from that giveaway right when we get back.
At Andy Mark, we know that FIRST programs inspire young people to be science and technology leaders and innovators by engaging them in mentor-based programs. Because of our deep appreciation for the benefits of FIRST, many of the Andy Mark staff are FIRST mentors and event volunteers. In fact, several of our staff members are FIRST alumni as well. Here are just a few of our staff doing what we do best, supporting the programs of FIRST.
Yeah, you can do it, Kate.
All right, let's go ahead and draw for that giveaway from our friends at Andy Mark. Once again, cone was the keyword for that. And it's going to be Throgan. Congratulations, Throgan. Very rigged, by the way. So make sure you get lots of rigged emotes in chat for that. And thanks again to Andy Mark for the awesome giveaway and for their support of First Updates now as we head into the Edison Division.
Yeah, go ahead, Kate.
So in the Edison Division, we have some of the top teams we've seen this year. I mean, Elims in this division is going to be very, very interesting, and I honestly see like a super strong alliance coming out of this division for division finals. And let's get into the top 6 teams I picked for the 2023 Edison Division. For lock number 1, I have 8644 Brainstormers. They were the winning alliance captain at the Chesapeake Championship and have had a super consistent bot the entire season. I really love the versatility that this team's robot has. They're able to follow League 1+5 while still maintaining a robot that performs exceptionally well during teleop. And, I can just see them doing super well at Worlds. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a given, right? Brainstormers is just so strong this year, and this being their last, they have all of the experience from the past 8, 9, 10 years. It's just going to be nuts to see what they come to Worlds with and how they do. I think this is one of those teams where, yes, there are a lot of other strong teams in the division, but it would be very difficult for them to not rank highly in quals. They would have to just have like a really horrendous match schedule or something like that. But I think 99.9% of the time they'll be coming out on top. They're just so strong every single year.
Yeah, knowing Brainstem and their sheer amount of dedication in combination with this being their last year, I know they've been like practicing like any different strategies, making sure that they have a large variety of autonomous, and them seeing them be able to practice these, like maybe they've been practicing stalling. They have 1+5s on different poles, depending on what their alliance partner and what their opponents are doing. I feel like they really are prepared for anything that can be thrown against them.
Yeah. All right, Caden, go ahead to lock number 2.
All right, for lock number 2, we have 12-5-9-9 Overcharge. They were Inspire 1 and Robot 1 at the Oregon Remote State Championship. Now, because we haven't really seen the robot since the league tournament, it's going to be interesting to see what changes they've made for the World Championship. Yeah, what do you guys think of the robot?
No, I think a lot of teams, like I think the turret crane design was something that was thrown around a lot more in the early season, but we didn't see too many of them making Worlds. Unfortunately, Clueless wasn't able to get through from San Diego, and then Robo Kings, although they did have a turret crane, they decided to switch to this new design that they have now. But Overcharge, they've stuck to their guns this entire season. I think it's really worked out for them. And I'm really excited to see what they come to Houston with. They're just always so consistent in their driving. I think it's really going to make a big impact over 11 qualification matches. Jessica, anything to add?
Yeah, I definitely think this team was super impressive, especially in the beginning of the season. I remember watching some like robot matches and going like, "Whoa, this team is going to be a super strong contender at the World Championships." And I'm so glad to see all the stuff that they've done, and I'm super excited to see what changes they make for Worlds.
Yeah, that's I think some great points. Let's go on to our first contender, Caden.
All right, for contender number 1, we have 14-525 Terabats from San Jose, California. They were the winning alliance first pick at the NorCal Regional Championship and have had an extremely competitive robot. With a simple pass-through design, this robot is very well optimized, and honestly reminds me a lot of Delta Force last year. Just having a simple robot, be able to drive it very efficiently can lead to like a lot of success at the World Championship.
Yeah, Caden, you said it reminds you a lot of Delta Force. I think another team that it reminds me a lot of is 7303 Robo Avatars. Not necessarily in the robot design. I mean, both robots, yes, they're linear slide, they have arms, but it's nothing really unique. But in the sense that they're one of those teams that's coming out of California, they have a ton of battle experience against all these other California teams, and they just have experience to do super well in Houston. We saw Robo Avatars; they've been doing really well these past couple of years, and I think Terabats is going to be another California team that carries on that mantle.
Yeah, and I think it's super cool about like how much they optimize their robot throughout the season. And like when you watch their robot like do matches and stuff, it's very snappy and it's very fast with the hardware design and the software capabilities as well, which will be super exciting to see.
Yeah, no, I think just, really cool team. All right, Caden, go ahead.
For contender number 2, we have 15637 Fata Morgana from Israel. As we mentioned before, they were the winning alliance captain of the Israel National Championship and have a super versatile robot. One of my favorite parts about their robot is just their intake. They have quite a large grabbing range, and that really comes in play because they have that extending intake. So having that wide range when the intake is really far away from like where your robot is pivoting is key to like actually using your extendo intake during teleop. I know a lot of the teams who have extending intakes will not extend it during the teleop period and only just use it during auto. But if you're able to control it efficiently, it can give you a really large advantage in teleop.
Yeah, I think one thing that I'm really interested in their reveal, they have this clip where the cone is sort of dancing around the top of the pole and they decide to hit it to make it slide down. I think 99% of other teams that do that, they push it the wrong way and, it falls off of the pole. But I'm wondering, if they've done just like a lot of practice or know really when to bump that pole. Because I think knowing that is definitely going to be useful in some situations in Houston. But, as you said, Caden, just really, really strong team. Could easily see them going super deep into Houston. Declan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen quite a few designs that are similar to this one with the extendo outtake and then either back or side deposits. But I feel what really sets Fatamorga apart is how they actually utilize the mechanisms on the robot, really maximizing the full capability of every mechanism that is on the robot has allowed them to like maximize the amount of scores, like what they can score, how much they can stall before they have to score all of their cones in matches, which helps them place like higher against those other teams that are similar in design and have them stand out as a captain/alliance pick.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Caden, let's start your dark horses.
For dark horse number 1, we have 14481 Don't Blink from Plainsboro, New Jersey. They're the second place Inspire Award winner at the New Jersey State Championship. This robot has a very similar concept to Fata Morgana with an extendo intake and a transfer design, but has gone about it a bit differently in terms of the mechanisms that they use. Although we haven't seen them be super consistent, they're definitely a dark horse in terms of what they're possibly capable of at the World Championship.
Yeah, this is another one of those teams that we saw have a competition late February, early March, and then decide to go for a rebuild. Based on pictures and videos we've seen online, looks like the rebuild isn't very, very different, but just a little bit more optimized, consistent, reliable. Just all the things you're looking for if you want to make a deep run in Houston. 11 qualification matches is going to be tough for every single robot, and I think Don't Blink rebuild to try and address that challenge as much as they can. Jessica, what do you think?
Yeah, I think just overall they've been super consistent with their new redesign, especially. And I think once we see it at the World Championships, you'll definitely be able to really acknowledge the full potential of this robot.
Yeah, and I know I think Don't Blink has a similar-ish design to what you guys are running on Technic Bots. The double reverse 4-bar extension, at least at some point in the season. So I'm sure you guys can speak to the strength of a design like that. So that's definitely comforting for all the teams out there with similar designs. But yeah, Kaden, go ahead.
So for dark horse number 2, we have 21229 Quality Control from Bellevue, Washington. As we mentioned before, they're winning alliance captain at the Colorado State Championship. Their V2 robot was extremely consistent at Washington and Colorado States, but they have rebuilt and now have a V3 robot. So it is hard to say that this robot will be as consistent because we haven't seen it compete in actual competition. But I'm sure that they've collected what they've learned from the V2 robot and will only make improvements for their V3. And we've seen that 1+10 that they've done. And I'm excited to see how this robot's going to perform.
Yeah, no, they're definitely quality control, having released that 1+10, just adding to that list. There's not many teams this year that have hit it, but there are some very notable ones. So I'm really interested to see, if it works out for them in Houston, if they decide to run it. But yeah, I think definitely a fantastic robot. We'll see how it does. I think another thing that's really important is just seeing how many good picks there are in the Edison division. There's so many other teams we could have talked about. Iterative Intentions comes to mind for sure. Technophobia, another team we did a behind the bot with earlier, and then also the Chinese team, Supernova. I think they could be, or I think they may be in another division, but all really, really good picks. I think Edison is going to be a super strong division overall. Declan, what do you think?
Yeah, I would have to agree. Edison is it's so full of top tier teams. I feel like eliminations, it's almost not gonna matter like what alliance selection you're in because of how strong all of the teams are. It's really gonna be a fair and equal competition all throughout the elims.
Yeah. And so I think that'll be it for our discussion on the Edison division. Before we go on, Tyler, why don't you start our Go Build a giveaway?
Yeah, like you said, we're giving away an awesome low side U channel bundle from our friends at Go Builda. All you got to do in order to enter, make sure you type in low side, one word, in chat right now. The low side U channel is a staple of the Go Builda system. It rocks, of course, on that awesome Go Builda platform that they have, or Go Builda pattern on the face, and an 8mm grid down each side. 12mm tall guides giving an impressive rigidity for its size and weight. This bundle of low channel U side includes 17 different lengths, all chosen to fit the maximum size of an FTC robot. So right now, low side, type that in chat. That's your opportunity to win. Thanks a lot to Go Builda for the awesome giveaway here.
Yeah, I think we'll go on to the Ochoa division. I think Ochoa isn't the super clear favorite, perhaps, for which division will win, but there are just so many strong teams in the span of competitors. We see Wolfpack, Technical Difficulties, Enforcers. I mean, just a lot of these top teams that are on the list are there. So, Declan, why don't you talk about your six?
Yeah. So with my lock number one, it just has to go to Wolfpack Machina. They've been such a strong team every year, and this year with a top 5 OPR and a 1+5 that doesn't fight with the opposing alliance, I believe they have a strong chance going undefeated in quals, landing them as the number 1 seed, and with it the first and fifth pick, which should almost guarantee their victory of Ochoa and advancement into the um, finals against different divisions.
Yeah, and I mean, what a reveal that was. They just had so many good shots. I know, Jessica, you touched on it earlier, but yeah, just really fantastic. Always a top-notch team. I think this year is just going to be just as great as before. We saw them make it really deep into their division last season in Freight Frenzy, so I'm sure they're looking to do at least as good as that, but probably better knowing them. Go ahead, Declan.
So for my second lock, I've chosen to go with Enforcers, mainly for the same reason as Cruise Control, as they're the other half of that dynamic duo that got the top 10 scores every match they played together during elims. This combined with their intake, allowing them to not have to worry about the cone orientation, their hyper consistent depositor, and their 1+5 auto allows this team to really focus on synergizing and strategizing with their teammates, allowing them the ability to beat out the toughest of competition.
Yeah, no, I think Enforcers, they're just so strong and so fast this year. The thing I'm most interested in seeing, I know before at New Jersey States, when they had to specify the orientation of the cone when it was collected inside the robot, they would always pick it up the same way and then flip it after, once it had gotten outside of the robot and with the DR4B. I'm really interested to see if they've implemented any sort of automation, camera, sensor based, whatever, in order to automate that part, just trying to shave off those precious milliseconds each match. Jessica,
Yeah, we did have a Zoom call with them last week, and they talked about how they made some improvements, mainly making their transferring faster and more consistent, as well as having their intake arm be more consistent for auto.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go on to our contenders, Declan.
So for my first contender, I've chosen team 7172 technical difficulties. This team definitely had some technical difficulties with their ultra unique dual arm design system at the beginning of the season, but they stuck with it and they've become a very promising robot, setting an OPR of 159 with a 1+5, avoiding the opposing alliance and an arm span that basically covers the whole field. If they can perfect working with their alliance partners while still maintaining their amazing driving skills, I think they have a good shot at making it out of the Ochoa division.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really interested to see what changes they brought for Houston. I know coming into Texas States, like the main thing that changed for them was just their claw. It opened a lot wider so that they could stand right next to, or they could just have their claw right next to that human player substation and didn't have to drive or move a lot. And just trying to optimize those cycles. Jessica, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. They've been really interesting to see throughout this whole season. I I've always been super impressed about their robot, especially with their how they manage to control their two arms. It's very precise, especially in autonomous. How it just sort of like throws the cones onto the pole and it somehow makes it every time. So I think that'll be definitely super cool to see any changes they made for Worlds.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's talk about your second contender, Declan.
So for my contender second pick, I have the team 19458 Equilibrium.exe. This team has shown promising results with their state robot setting a top OPR of 158 and a win-loss tie of 26-5. We haven't seen the new Equilibrium.exe in action, but with the improvement of a 1+5 high auto, extension on their depositor, and a separate cone and TSE scoring system, this team is bound to perform super well on Ochoa. So what do you guys think about the improvements that Equilibrium has made from their state to their world's robot?
I think that it's really impressive about how well they can like maneuver around all the cones, and especially their like turret design. It's just super impressive, and it'll definitely be fun to see them at Worlds.
All right. Caden, or should we just go on to our dark horse then?
Yeah, we can move on to Dark Horse. So Dark Horse number 1 on my list is going to be team 14496 Roboctopi. From this team has seemingly flown under the radar of most people for the entire season. With a design similar to 9889 Cruise Control, a 1+5 auto, the ability to pick up fallen cones off the floor, deposit their TSC separately, and many more amazing features that they've added. I believe this team will, when paired with equally strong opponents, can crush the competition no matter who they're against.
Yeah, and I believe they came out of San Diego, so they had to face a lot of tough teams. Garage bots we see on screen right now, Clueless, just some really really top tier teams in those San Diego regional championship matches. So Roboctopi definitely knows how to hold their own, and it'll be really interesting to see how they do in Houston. I think they're a great dark horse pick.
Yeah, they had a super good robot reveal, very informative. And yeah, one thing that I really liked about the robot was having that camera look down through the center of the cone. And it gave them that consistency of say what a pole guide would during auto. It's super cool to see like an alternative way to solve that issue of a junction being tilted.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's go on to our last team for the night. Go ahead, Declan.
For the number 2 lock in Ochoa, I've chosen 18270 Robo Players from Texas. They were the captain of the winning alliance at Texas State with an OPR of 135 and a very quality control V2-esque design. I believe if they play their cards right, they will be a top pick, if not a captain of the Ochoa division, and be able to compete very well during the elims. Oh,
Yeah,
Dark Horse, sorry.
I think my biggest thing with Robo players with Rule 390 coming out on the forum recently, I remember watching their matches in Texas and they were bending that pole like 45, 60 degrees sometimes. So that's definitely not going to fly, if another robot's going for that junction at the same time as them. So very interested to see what they decide to do and how they decide to fix it, if they feel that it's something that needs to be changed. But other than that, they definitely held their own in Texas coming out as winning Alliance captain. That is no easy feat. And I think they're just overall a fantastic team, and I can't wait to see how they do in Houston. Jessica, what do you think?
Yeah, and like one of my favorite parts about this team is how they can make such an amazing robot with such a low budget. They've definitely came out this season with a flaming torch, and it's been super cool to see them compete and really utilize all their resources. And it really goes to show that you don't have to have like a crazy budget in order to build a super competitive robot.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so before we draw for our giveaway, we're gonna do a couple predictions on stream. We're gonna ask all of our hosts to decide who's going to take it all. I guess leading the show, I'll go first. I think for my top division to take it all, I have to go with the Franklin division. There are so many strong teams in this division. And I do recognize that one part of that is perhaps they can all be split up, but I think more likely than not, you'll have enough strong teams together to make an alliance that's just too much of a powerhouse. for anyone to play against. Kooky Swerve with Robo Kings Alphas, intakes, and driving, and Peppers on the same team. Like, I don't know what you can do against that.
I gotta go for
yeah.
Jemison in this case. Yeah, I've seen that there's Road to D2 in Upper Creek. Like, I'm obviously an Upper Creek fan. I'm gonna be biased. But yeah, Road to D2 is super consistent. The fact that they're able to get 1+10 and have a super solid teleop. Yeah, I think a Upper Creek Road to D2 alliance would be super, super cool to see. And yeah, it's gonna be really hard to predict like which division's gonna win it all. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I really like
Jessica, go ahead.
I'm gonna have to go with Franklin Division. Maybe I have a little bias because I am in the Franklin Division, but I definitely think there's like just a ton of strong teams, and it'll be super interesting. I'm really excited to see how semifinals and finals will play out with such a deep list of very strong competitive teams. It'll be really exciting to see.
Yeah, and so it looks like it's a lot of noise for the Franklin and Jemison divisions. Declan, which way are you leaning?
I'm gonna have to tie it up and go with Jemison. I really feel like Franklin having so many powerhouse teams it's gonna cause them to more fight each other and have a less competitive team for going into the eliminations against separate divisions. Whereas with Jemison, it's really like focused on like a couple main powerhouses and a bunch of other teams that also compete well. But compared to Franklin and Jemison, the like top tier powerhouse teams in Jemison are going to team up and have a really strong chance at taking it all as long as they keep their strategies up to date.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. So looks like all four of our hosts have predicted that at least one of the divisions between Franklin and Jemison will come out on top. They will be playing each other before going over to the conference finals. So we won't have to wait long to see how it turns out, but it's gonna be crazy. Yeah. So before we end for the night, Tyler, let's draw for our Go Build a giveaway.
Yeah, once again, we're giving away the low side U channel bundle from our friends at Go Builda for that. So let's go ahead and draw a winner. It's going to be McMay1. McMay1, I think you won a giveaway recently too. So congratulations on good luck on your end as well. Thanks to Go Builda and Andy Mark for the giveaways today. We really appreciate our suppliers giving away some awesome stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Caden, go ahead. Let's start our outro.
All right. Thank you all for the follows and subscriptions we received today. Don't forget that you can subscribe for free through Twitch Gaming. We hope you enjoyed this episode of FTC Top 25 and Pre-Champs show. If you want to stay connected with what First Updates Now FTC is doing, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at FunFTC and join our Discord through the link in the chat.
Yeah, and on behalf of myself, Caden, Jessica, Declan, and our producer Tyler working behind the scenes, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Keep an eye out for future new FTC content coming on YouTube. And I know we're going to have just a ton of Behind the Bots recorded and filmed in Houston, and we're really excited to post them all. And, as the offseason gets underway, we're going to have shows for that too. So it's going to be great. The rest of the Power Play season is going to be absolutely fantastic. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for our Pre-Champs preview show tonight. Bye.
This video on First Updates Now is made possible by viewers like you and also the following sponsors. AndyMark is your one-stop shop for all your educational robotics needs. From mechanical, electrical, tools, and hardware, AndyMark has over 200 years of first-team experience and offers high-quality and affordable solutions for the robotics mobility and competition markets. Head on over to andymark.com to get started.